Welcome to another edition of Vigorously with me, Val Kleinhands. We talk music, and today, we got a good one. Flat Black singer Rex Horton is here in the building. How are you, sir? I'm happy to have you.
What's up? How's it going?
It's so good. Congratulations on Dark Side of the Brain. Been
Oh,
well
thank you.
received. I mean, for anybody that's still sleeping on the album, remind us why we need to be streaming it right now.
Well, you should be streaming it because there's something for everyone on the record.
Mm.
If you like heavy music, I like heavy music, but I also like rock music. I like songs. We got all sorts of we got something for everyone. My mom likes it, my friends like it.
Yes.
So, everyone likes some of it, So there's something for you. If you like that kind of music, you're gonna dig it.
Period. I love the Sideways video too. I was watching that. For anybody that hasn't seen it before, each band member, like half of you, is painted black. So
Yeah,
how,
yeah.
how long did it take for the paint to come off? I have to ask.
It didn't come off. The come off part wasn't bad, but
Oh, okay.
doing it probably took like, I want to say it was like 2 hours per person, maybe, of paint, because you have to do layers, and then a couple times you touch stuff and then it gets all messed up. So you have to do touch ups. But it's like this like Vanta black special paint that's
Mhm.
like supposed to like delete half of you on film. And yeah, it was cool. But yeah, it came off really easy. Like, I just got in the shower. My shower's still pretty stained from that, but
You-
other than that, yeah, it came off easy. Getting on was hard.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
concept for that was really intuitive. Was that intentional to go with, the dark side of yourself, a lighter side of
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I think one of the things we just wanted to try to see what, like, if it would, like, make us just disappear on camera, and for some parts it works really well and it does exactly like what we wanted. Other times it was like, this isn't exactly what we're trying to do, but it's still cool. So we just
Hmm.
we kept it in. But yeah, it turned out awesome. I really liked that video. It was fun. It was simple too. I think videos get kind of crazy these days, and people feel like they have to do a super, everyone feels like they got to make a Marvel movie. I like that stuff too, but I'm not trying to. I don't know. We're metal, like we're a rock band. It's performance. Is important.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously where all of you focus your energy. But I'm kind of curious as to what your thoughts are on, the changes within the music industry itself, just in general. Because for anybody that doesn't know, I mean, you've been a player for a period of time. You are a multi instrumentalist.
Yes.
Let's talk about those changes that you might have seen over the years. I mean, I'm sure CD to streaming, that's got to be one. How are we feeling about them?
Yeah, when I first started making music, when I first like started releasing music, I guess, streaming was like the way to go. I don't think I ever, my first band, I put music out probably like 2016 or 2017. So streaming
Okay.
was already the way there. I don't think I ever printed physicals with my first bands or anything. It was just all straight to streaming. Obviously it's not as profitable, and there's 100 million people talking about that, I'm sure, about how, oh, we get paid a quarter of a cent per stream or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, it's crazy. Obvious, that's like destroyed the fabric of when it comes to like record sales and making money that way. Yeah, that's it's basically non-existent. So for like the people listening to, I mean, with my bands before Flat Black, I had one that was like fairly successful on streaming, not crazy, but we'd get, I don't know, 500,000 plays on a song, like, to date. Like,
Hmm.
nothing crazy. Maybe one song hit a million, nothing crazy though. And we were able to fund the songs. The song, it would cost me,
Mm.
I'll tell you this, it would cost me like $500 to get a song produced, and I could
Wow.
eventually get that back. But it would take, after 3 or 4 months, 4 or 5 months, maybe I would get it back. But still, then you factor in, when you're like a small band and you factor in like, oh, we got to buy merch and sell the merch. And like, there's only so many people are buying your merch, especially when you're some obscure local metal band, which is what I was in. I was always in like metal bands, which is, it's only so much you can do there. So when you're like small, it's like kind of impossible to make money without sales. And the people still buy our records and stuff. We sell vinyls, and people are still about the physical media. Especially, I think we did something cool with our physicals where we put live songs on all of
Mm-hmm.
the, like, if you buy a physical, you get like 4 or 5 live songs from our first tour. And they sound really good. I'm really proud of those. But they won't come out for streaming. Like, you have to buy the physical to get those. So there's like an incentive to get the physical. But yeah, I mean, the CD thing, like, I mean, I've never bought a CD. I can't tell you the last time I bought a CD. I with streaming. I think it's
Yeah.
extremely convenient, and unfortunately, it's just kind of, it's one of those things where like the robots kind of win, kind of thing. It's like with automation, it's like, oh well, I always say this, like, if the robot does a better job and like the robot doesn't complain, and the robot, like, we used to say this, I didn't have a bass player in one of my bands too, because we play it through the laptop, and I'd say, well, MacBook Pro doesn't complain. MacBook Pro doesn't make mistakes. And MacBook Pro doesn't try to talk to my girlfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's,
ooh,
yeah. So yeah,
ooh. We
it's like
don't.
yeah,
Ooh, we're not.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
don't
yeah,
need that.
yeah,
We don't
yeah,
need
yeah,
that because
yeah.
MacBook Pro is
So
pretty. MacBook Pro could steal your girl. That
yeah,
that would
yeah,
happen.
yeah. True, true. I mean, there's AI girlfriends now. I mean, you never know. But yeah, there's like or like like if the new invention is better than the old invention, it's gonna take over. And that's why
Yeah.
like paper straws. No one likes paper straws. They don't do a good job of replacing what they were supposed to
Yeah.
replace, which was plastic straws, right? So it's like they're not being adopted because the new innovation isn't good enough to replace it. So yeah, the Spotify thing, it's so strong, and it does such a, does such a good job. And unfortunately, it's completely taken over. And yeah, I would
Yeah.
say it's been a massive hit to a lot of bands you might consider famous, like, probably have day jobs, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's a huge hit to it. And touring, touring, you can do pretty good, and if you kill it on merch too, you can do pretty good. But still, even the A and B tier metal bands, like, I would guess that their sole source of income is not music.
And that's so sad anymore. But I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about because some of the, particularly when it comes to the European bands, I almost feel a little bit worse for them because, like, I'm sure Opeth and Slave, some of like my favorites, they have day jobs, and
yeah,
then they put all their effort into coming across an ocean,
yeah,
and sometimes things happen with visas, sometimes things happen,
sure.
and they can't make any of that back. So it almost seems like if you're young and up and coming, the odds are kind of stacked against you a little bit.
Oh, there's
What would
no way. There's no
Yeah.
way. Like, the only bands that I was in, local bands, like, forever, and I was like one of the only, like, my band and my local scene was like the only band that, we toured a couple times, and it was at huge losses, and
Oh,
like we had a ton of issues, like our van exploded, and like you're screwed. And the
yeah.
few bands that I saw from my scene that were doing really well, or like funded, like, their mom and dad are commenting on
Okay.
everything. Oh, mom and dad are probably, giving them a little something to get them started and fund their passions and stuff. Small loan of $1 million or whatever. And I think it's almost impossible. I think anyone who's touring that's not at like a really, that's not in a tour bus level, or in
Hmm.
arenas or theaters or whatever, or even House of Blues, I would, most of those are going to be operating at a loss. And
Mm.
the vehicle thing is awful too. Like, getting a vehicle is, you have to either rent something for $1 million or buy something for
Ugh.
$1 million and do all the upkeep. And like, we bought something once, and it exploded on our like second day of tour, and it was just like, it was a nightmare. Like, it's a
There's
night.
thousands of stories
Yeah,
like that. I mean,
yeah,
in
it's a
all,
nightmare.
God, it always makes me think, well, why does anybody keep doing it? So would you tell somebody
Yeah,
young and up and coming to keep doing it and to keep going?
I don't know if I would, because like that's the issue. There's a sort of like close relationship between like delusional and I guess successful.
Hmm.
Like, you don't want to. It's good to have some level of, okay, I can do this, like, confidence, and you like almost have to be delusional to do this. Like, you almost have to be delusional. And I have one friend who's like very successful on YouTube. He's like got like 1 million something on YouTube, but he says this all the time too. He's like, you almost have to just be delusional and pushing, like, and going hard and doing something. And he, he with YouTube, he would always say, like, if you want to be a YouTuber, like, put out your first video. It's going to suck and you're probably going to delete it later, but like, you have to just try. You have to do something, because when you sit there deliberating, you're doing nothing. And
Yeah.
with music, it's kind of like a little bit of that. I see a lot of pro level guys that say, "Oh, I'm working on this solo album. I've been working on it for 3 years." It's like, dude, get it out.
Yeah.
Like,
What are you waiting for?
get something going. And I think, like, you have to, if you deliberate, you do nothing. And there's a sort of balance between okay, I've now spent, who knows, I would put a limit on it, be like, okay, I'm not gonna bankrupt myself past this
Yeah.
level if I want to tour in a band. And if it's not working, especially with metal, I mean, it's just a small genre. It's a
Mm.
small type of music. I mean, I was making deathcore, death metal for years and stuff like that. And now my music I make, it's still elemental in that music, but the music I make now is like, my mom is like, "Hey, I really like this song. That's new. That's never happened for me
You're
before."
not supposed to
I'm
like it,
serious.
Mom. God.
I'm serious. I'm serious though. Like, that's a major point. Like, if you're making this obscure music and expecting to, like, make money, like, get real, man. You have to make,
Yeah.
you have to figure out a way to, make it more palatable so that more people can like it. Most importantly, that women like it, because you
Mm.
can get the guys. Like, it's easy to get guys to be like, "Oh, this is sick, bro. Like, this is so heavy and sick." Like, it's easy to get that, but guys don't really buy anything. So, like, if you get the women in, if you get women into it, you make songs that speak to them on some sort of emotional level, and then they buy stuff from you, and then they're wearing the shirt, they're buying the tickets, they're bringing
Oh
their
yeah.
boyfriend. If girls think it's cool, then the guys will think it's cool.
Yeah. That's typo negative
Country music.
101.
Yeah, and
Country
country
music.
music.
True. That's
Yeah.
true. Country music is party music. Girls want to shake their ass. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it.
And then all the boyfriends are in there too, and they wear their cowboy hats and boots, and so that their girlfriend thinks they kind of look like a country star, for just, even if it's just for one night.
It's always about the girls. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it is. It's a major thing. It's a majorly important thing.
Well, since we're talking a little bit about the past and our musical taste,
Sure.
I mean, Flat Black is a conglomeration of, you guys have all been involved in other projects before,
Yeah.
essentially, somewhere along the line.
Mm-hmm.
Jason with Five Finger Death Punch, you Falling in Reverse, I know is on your list. Is
Mm-hmm.
that possibly something that you and Jason bonded over? The fact that you
Yeah.
came from like these huge projects and now, okay, we're ready to do our own thing.
Yeah, we've both played massive shows. I was not
Yeah.
with Falling for very long, but I definitely played. I played that first Blue Ridge Rock Fest. I think there was like 60,000 people there, and we close to
Before it
headlining.
was terrible. Before.
Yeah, yeah. The first one was, I mean, it had issues, but it was crazy. It was a bazillion people there, but yeah. Yeah, there's definitely something we have in common, and we kind of have this something to prove too. Like, I was sort of a background person in that band, and
Mhm.
he was lead guitarist, but I think he's excited to have more of a hand in the band this time. He did have a hand in his other bands. He wrote the vast majority of their song, their hit songs,
Mhm.
but there was a lot of cooks in that kitchen, I think.
Yeah.
And with Falling, with Falling in Reverse, Ronnie is the cook in the kitchen. So it's sort of just, do what boss man says. And I had a great time doing that. Like, that band was so much fun playing those
Yeah.
songs. If you ever go watch me playing live in that band, I'm just like, big ass smile on my face playing these fun songs. It was just so much fun. It was so fun. But yeah, I always had this desire. I've always known. Ronnie said to me this one time too. He's like, "Dude, you were born to be a singer, man. You're born to be a
Wow.
singer." Man. He said that to me once, and I was like, "Huh." I like said, my mom said that to me when I was little too. So I was like, "Oh man, like, I'm playing guitar in this band. I'm playing bass in this band. I'm writing music for these bands, but like, I'm probably should just be a singer." And like,
Yeah.
I'm always been best at this thing, so I
Wow.
should probably do it. So yeah, I think me and Jason both have that in common, that we both got something to prove. We both want to see that again, but this time in
Mm.
our hands. We want to get to that level, but on our terms, on our own terms. Um, and yeah, that's a good question.
At what point did you realize that this group of guys, this project, this is going to work? Like we mesh well together.
I think like we all met once when we were recording the record for the first time. We were all in the same room because I knew two of the guys, and then I met the bass player Nick. I met him pretty late in the like I met him while we were recording the record for the first time, and we were kind of all in the same room together at the same time. And I was like, oh, this is easy. And then we went on tour, and tour was very easy too, just like relationally, we all really got along. And yeah, I mean, that's so important. That's not existent in bands. I
Mm.
guarantee you that it's not existent in bands. I know that it's not. And I know there's always a problem individual, or, the guys don't hang out, or they play the show and then everyone retreats and says, I don't want to talk to anyone anymore. The cool thing is that, we all hang out quite a bit, and we get along quite well. Even if we come from different walks of life and stuff, like I always joke with them because they're neck to toe tattooed, and I don't have a single tattoo.
Do you
So
want one?
I don't think so.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
I think it's like more special that I don't have them. But I was like, my parents were always like, oh, tattoos are like, they kind of like beat it into they're like, oh, you have that for the rest of your life. You're probably
Yeah.
not gonna like it when you're older, like cringe boomer stuff, right? And I'd
Well,
always
yeah.
be like, well, screw you, I'm gonna get covered. And then I
That's why
kind
we
of
get
just
one.
didn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of just didn't. And I dated a girl when I was younger. When I was like probably like 21, I dated a girl,
Mhm.
and she was like 18 or 19 and had like she's all tatted up. All my girlfriends were always like tatted the hell up. And I asked her once, she had really nice tattoos. I asked her once, I'm like, okay, like she's 19 years old, she's in college still. I'm like, what would you estimate? How much money? How much money is like in your
Oh,
arms?
I know where this is going.
And she's like, I don't know, like 5 grand.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh
dude,
yeah.
like you're not even through college and you're just blowing money on like looking cool. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I know people are gonna rage at me
Yeah.
for saying that, but I think it's like a way to pay your way to looking cool. But
It's
you can't just look cool in other ways. You can do other things. But I don't know. My hair's dyed, and you got to argue that I paid to look cooler for having my hair dyed. I mean, but the thing is like the tattoos thing is, it's like you can't go back. Like, it's like once you do that, you can't go
yeah.
back, but it's complicated. It's not as simple as just, oh, you just let your hair wash out.
No.
It's like a big commitment, and there's really nothing that I want on me forever. But yeah, I'm going way off on your question, but what you were asking is when how I knew with the guys that we were going to get along is, yeah, probably like the first tour when we were together, and by the end of it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss these guys.
Aw.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so what do you like to do when you're hanging out? Music isn't necessarily the focus. It's just bro time.
Well, I'm a personal trainer too at home. I live in Las Vegas, so I'm big into, I like lifting weights a lot. And I just kind of starting getting training with people here in Vegas, but I like that. It's sort of like my form of service, because I've never really done
Mm.
something like that like, I guess, like helps people in a way, and I've kind of always wanted to. So yeah, I'm a personal trainer during the week, and I I play video games with my friends. That's most of what I also cook. I used to be a sous chef before I was a musician. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So I cook all my own food. So sometimes like I cook and for like days ahead, and like, yeah, I like to cook, but yeah, mostly just, I always just say gym, cook, lift weights, play video games, sleep. That's
That's
pretty
it.
much it. I'm
Normal
dialed in
stuff.
though. I sleep normally. I have a good sleep schedule. I prioritize the health. I'm gonna try to
Yeah.
live as long as I can.
I know. Sleep is important. People forget. Like I am useless when I haven't eaten and when I haven't slept.
Yeah. If I
I'm like,
lose 1 or 2 hours, it's like
yeah.
I'm a
Nope.
terrible person. Terrible
Yeah.
person.
Just
Yeah.
angry at the world for no reason.
Yeah. I hate that. Yeah. It's important.
Well, so I was curious, just going back to Ronnie and Falling in Reverse. Have you
Uh,
spoke to him since,
yeah, yeah,
or you have? That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, we were it didn't end well, I guess I'll say. But
Really?
we
Because it sounded like it
yeah, yeah.
did.
No, I was kicked out of that band 100%.
Oh, okay.
But it was mostly like due to me just being a dumb kid because I was in that band when I was like 23, and the details aren't like really worth discussing, but the point is like I would have done the same thing if I was in Ronnie's shoes. Like I would
Okay.
have if I was him. I was 23. Like it was my first
Yeah.
national tour ever. I didn't know anything. Like it was like every day where people were like, yo, you shouldn't do this. Yo, make sure you know this for tour.
Hmm.
Oh, don't do that. I was like learning stuff towards like even towards the end of the tour, people were like, dude, you can't do that. And I would be like, what? Like what? There's a lot of stuff that you
There's
just don't.
etiquette things. Yeah.
Tons of stuff, tons of stuff. And I was young, and those guys were much older than me and much more seasoned than me. And I did a bunch of dumb stuff that just led to Ronnie just being like, all right, dude, like this is the last straw. And I was like, all right, you know what? You're right. You're right. And obviously that was devastating. And I was pissed at him. I hated him for a really long time. But as you become on the outside of things, you start to realize like, oh, maybe I made some mistakes, and maybe
Yeah.
I happened to make a lot of mistakes. And I was a I was a really good player and I practiced a ton for that. So I sort of thought maybe I deserved more grace for me being
Mm.
young and me being inexperienced. And I was really mad for a while. But yeah, we didn't talk for like maybe 2 or 3 years. And then I saw him at Rockville this past year. And I went up to him. I said, "Hey, man, I just want to say in person, like, I'm really sorry for the dumb stuff that I did. And your new song's really good." And he was like, "I know my new song's really good." And
Of course he does. Of course
yeah,
he
yeah,
does.
yeah. I mean, it's in character. It's in character. But yeah, we talked for like an hour and we kind of buried the
Yeah.
hatchet. We messaged me the other day. We still talk occasionally. But yeah, he's the man. I mean, people say a lot of stuff about him, and at the end of the day, I wouldn't be in this band. I wouldn't have my career if it wasn't for that guy. So
Yeah. Now you're at the point where he's giving you his blessing essentially to
yeah,
go
yeah,
to
yeah,
go off and be a front man anyway. I mean, that's
yeah, yeah.
incredible.
Yeah,
And
he's nice guy, man. He doesn't deserve 90% of the stuff that he gets. He gave me a chance when I was just a kid making singing videos on the internet and playing in shitty local bands, and he gave me
mhm.
the chance that started my career. So I'm very grateful to him. And if you're watching this, which I know you probably are, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I'd be honored if Ronnie was watching this personally.
He
But
probably will. He watches a lot of stuff,
he's,
dude.
I love no the reactions to like the
Yeah,
reaction
yeah, yeah,
videos.
yeah.
They're my
He's
favorite thing.
funny.
But
He's
I
funny
th-
for sure.
I feel like the two of you, because I get this vibe from you, I get this vibe from him too, in the limited exposure that I've seen, just on social media. But like you both seem like people that take accountability, and
Yeah, yeah, I
I
think
feel
he
like
does. Yeah.
I feel like that might be something maybe you and him bonded over, at least at one point, or maybe later in life.
Yeah, the last time we talked, he was like, "Oh, it's like really, it was like really, it's really bold." Or he said something like, "It's really good that you like confronted me and apologized instead of like hide, because
Yeah.
it's so easy to be like, oh, don't look, he's over there or something like that." But instead, I walked straight up to him and I was like, "Hey, man, I want us to be cool."
Yeah. Well, talking about Flat Black. I mean,
Yeah,
what's next?
sorry.
Because no, it's good. I want to know about Flat Black just
Yep,
as much. The
yep.
new album been out. It's been well received. What's next in response? I know I've seen some shows popping up online too. What else can we look forward to?
Yeah, so we have tour in October with Godsmack and Nothing More, and
That's a good
we
lineup.
are yes, it is, and we are looking for we're looking at filling the entirety of next year, so we'll probably be really busy, hoping and praying for Europe. So let's hope
Yes.
for that one. There's whispers of that one, so I've never been, so I'm kind of that's that I will probably cry my eyes out the day that happens. But
Oh,
yeah,
no, that's a bucket list. Like
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
bucket
yeah,
list
yeah,
thing. I haven't
yeah,
been to
yeah,
Europe either, and I feel like
yeah. Okay,
for Americans, a lot of us are like that would be the dream, just to see something
yeah,
different than what we're used to,
right.
and it just seems like something so foreign and so far away that it seems like this unattainable thing.
Yeah,
And
and for me, of course, I've been like, "Oh, my bands, we're gonna go to Europe, bro. We're gonna do it," and we never, it never happens. So I'm really hoping that goes on, and we have more songs too. We have more songs we're working on. We went into the studio with like 23 for this record, and there's definitely gonna be a couple that make the next, and I don't think there's gonna be a big wait for record 2. So
one after the other, single after
keep an eye out
single,
there.
possibly, maybe
Uh-huh.
maybe a cover too. I feel like
Yeah,
that could.
yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah,
That's exciting. All right, lots to
yeah,
look forward to. What? Thank you so much for your time, Rex.
yeah,
Appreciate
yeah.
you
Of
being.
course, you bet.